What the fuck is happening, fam? It is your boy, the Soul Sativa, the Ayatollah of Indica, the Bobby Fischer of BHO, aka Ned Sparks, aka Willie the Cool Penguin, aka the Hickson of Hashish, aka Lord Bongtimore. And I'm here with another brand spanking new of the number one can of podcast on the planet. Let's talk about it. You know, if this is your first time, welcome. Welcome to the fucking show. Welcome to the party. You know, uh, I've had over 100 episodes. You're jumping in here. And in those episodes, I've had many different elements of growth and trying different things out, and some consistency, some inconsistency. But hey, we're on it, man. We're fucking on it. I've interviewed some great guests, some really cool owners of cannabis companies with an interesting background. Prisoners freed by one of the top nonprofits out there, which today I'm going to talk about another one I had never even heard of that's been out for over a decade. There's been straight edge people. Joe Hardcore McKay, episode 100. Navy SEALs, Ultra Runners, Disciples of Christ. Chad Wright, the Babe Ruth Breachers. The fucking... Mom, I've had my homies on. Robbie or Baked. Baker, 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 Baker. Noel. Great episode. I've had people who deal in realms and realities far outside this one. Dr. Kim McGeorge. I thought she was a really interesting lady, and so I just messaged her, and she said she would do an episode. And we hit it off right away. It's a great fucking episode. Highly, highly recommend. What else? Who else? There's been... my longtime brother and friend and author, Shane Truitt, the Oscar Wilde of OC, episode 102, I believe. Just recently started doing some cannabis and recovery episodes. Not quite sure if this is kind of come out before or after the Zeke the Freaky episode, but I've got two that have already... One that's already been out. The second one already recorded. It's been done. I just need to chop it up a little bit and deliver it to you. A totally different episode than the episode with Rick Glass, and it's exactly what I want, man. Just different conversations about the topic of cannabis and recovery. What is it? Where's its place? How do we all fit in the grand scheme of things? I've been reaching out to some people. Should be some solid guests coming on, some interesting folks. I just need to set up and lock in some times, and not just in a cannabis and recovery one, but, some totally different people. Hopefully one soon with my brother, who I mentioned during the Joe Hardcore episode for sure. Ben Zerbzer. The Zerbs. His Instagram is at Lloyd's Treasures. Tell me why. I looked this fool up on Facebook, and we had a short friendship. Let me just give you a little brief look into the relationship that I had in friendship with Zerbs, right? I was a homeless junkie, age 22, on the streets of Philadelphia, trying to find a job. I had a job if you've ever been to Philly, in Old City, Philly, where all the old shit is, there's these, horse and carriage tours. And so I did that for, a week. And, God, I just couldn't do that, man. I needed to get high, needed to make moves, and it was hard to be a junkie and operate a horse, Just not quite the move. I had moves to make, and so I ended up on South Street. I don't know, I just sold some DVDs or was begging for money, or whatever junkie bullshit I was into at the time. And I saw a sign, hire you on the spot type shit. And it was for this telemarketing, basically, trying to get donations for, firefighters and police officers, FOP, whatever the firefighter organizations were. And basically cold calling random motherfuckers who did not want to be called, not by me. I definitely was probably one of the worst callers in the facility. And I walked in, they gave me a job, they said, "You want the job? You got the job!" They gave it to me, they said, "It's yours, you can have it." care for it, love it. Be the fucking army of one, be the best you can be. And I said, sure. And I saw Zerbs. He stood out to me immediately because the way I was dressed, I was a goddamn street urchin. Okay? And I I had a cut off jean jacket vest, cut off jean jorts, some like skinny pant cut off jorts. I had a skateboard. I was generally dirty. I lived on the street. And this man was wearing almost the exact same outfit, head to toe. And he had something about it, man, I could tell. And we got off work and I'm like, hey dude, skateboard. What do you do? He said, well, first I'm gonna go get these fucking Annie Hands just closed. I'm gonna go get the pretzels out of the trash. I said, I like your style, man. And this guy, I was like, what do you do? Where do you live? What's going on? And this guy was like, I live on Fifth and Mifflin, for those of you who do not know. It's a block in South Philadelphia. There was a squat house there. I said, cool. Can I come along? I don't really have anywhere to be. He said, yeah, we're going to hit the Dragon Bar on the way. I said, cool. We're going to get a citywide. Cool. A citywide, whatever that is. Well, I'll tell you, a citywide is a 16-ounce Pabst Blue Ribbon beer and a shot of whiskey. Rail. The shittiest one they got. Like Kentucky Gentleman or some shit. And so we went, and it's $6 at the time. It's probably $12 now. Fucking thanks a lot, Biden. Thanks a lot, Bin Laden. And so these were like my new punk buddies. They totally were right in my realm. Somebody had American Spirit, rolling tobacco. I rolled a rollie. Chris and Kate. Chris, I knew from my band, Kill Whitey, played a show or two with his band on the run. We knew each other. It was in there, man. And we were all in there together. Oh, we were all in there together. We knew each other, homies. Years later, I saw Chris. The last time I saw Chris since Philly was in Baltimore at a Crest Punk show, as my friend John liked to call it. And it was on the day that there was a shooting at the Zoomies in Columbia. Rest in peace to Bree. And God damn it, I feel like a fuckface for not remembering the other guy's name. But they got shot and killed at the Columbia Zoomies. It was a sad fucking thing, dude. It was real fucking sad. And it's tragic, for real. I felt fucking terrible. And so, anyway, Zerbs and I hung out. I definitely wore out my welcome, pretty much. I'm a junkie. I'm a taker. Chris and Kate let me stay over at their spot with old fucking Johnny Rockstar. Vic. These guys we're all fucking characters and a half, man. We lived in this punk squat with Wayne. He is a fucking... If Wayne didn't have punk, he'd have been a fucking redneck. Okay? Straight up redneck. Cowpunk is what they call it. Me and Zerbs would play endless games of skate, drinking 40 ounces, eating, fucking $2.50 roast beef hoagies from the little shitty store, which are probably fucking $6 now. And they were disgusting. But as a junkie, I literally would fucking shoot up in the alley around the corner, walk around with my cigarette in my mouth, go into the deli, get my sandwich, smoke my cig outside while they made my sandwich. It was like, there was a sixth sense of freedom, to be honest. But Zerb, moved to West Philly, and I never heard from him again. I think I lost my cell phone shortly after that, so I had no way to contact him. I looked up on Facebook, tried to find him at some point, but how do you spell Zerbzer? Is that even a real last name? I had no fucking idea. And so because I was talking about the one day we did PCP, all right? It was on, they don't do it like they do it in DC. DC, we get the Newport, right? You pull that, the Newport Cadillac, man. Hunt it. No way or question around it. You get the fucking Newport 100, you fucking pull out the filter, you don't rip it off, right? Because you still want the paper filter, the orange part of the filter, you want that still. right? Because you want to put your lips directly on the part with tobacco because you want to smoke that dip all the way down. So you just pull out the filter, pull it out, shimmy it, you do what you gotta do. And then you got like the limp filter piece and you're just fucking sucking down that shit. You taste on your lips, it's like fucking gasoline on your lips, man. But up in fucking Philly, they like put it on tea leaves, right? You dip the fucking, where I'm from, you just dip the Newport into the goop. That's one of the things they call it, is a goop, the juice, the water. I'd only done it twice up to that point. I didn't like it, but Zerbs was getting some here. He had a line on it, and we fucking all day were just jamming on that shit. I actually had a really good day that day. I still remember some of it. And, it was just, he was a really fucking cool guy. And because I was talking to my pops about this murder, which you'll have heard about in the last episode, if you listened to it, if you even care. A guy that I used to get high with, fucking piece of shit, scumbag, Jimmy Claro. Fuck Jimmy Claro. His brother I liked sometimes. I mean, I couldn't trust him as far as I could throw him. Although I could throw him probably like a decent amount because he was kind of a small human. Jimmy definitely a small human. Right now locked up. Murder one charges. I actually looked up the case search today. A friend of mine's older sister reached out to me. She knew that I knew Miss Sue and just wanted to make sure that I was like okay or whatever. And I am, it's a bummer. It really is hard to think about what type of mindset somebody's in to where they would, from what I hear, and I'm sure it'll come out, beat his mother to death with a baseball bat, stabbed up his sister, tried to kill her. So I looked today on the case search, his charges, and at first, the only open ones were all traffic citations on the first page. And there was a shit ton of closed cases. That motherfucker never expunged a case in his life. Had 2 pages. Bitch ass motherfucker. And it was like all these traffic citations from the day of this murder. And it was like, revoked license and driving around outside of lanes of traffic to evade a police officer, disobeying police order, like all these traffic violations for Anne Arundel County. Even though it happened in PG, he tried to get the fuck out of Dodge. And then I scrolled through, switched up the filter to open, and then the PG cases came in. Wow, that was like 10 flicks, dude. What the fuck even is that? So I looked at the PG case search report on the happenings so far in the James Calero case, which I will be keeping you updated as it is something that is fairly near and dear to my heart. This fool killed his mom, who was a serial enabler, and I don't want to speak ill of her or sound like I am because it really is fucking heart-wrenching to think about. And she loved her kids, man. And I hate to say that like all 3 of them were, if I were to list out the top 10 biggest pieces of shit that I know based solely on their actions, well, I'm going all 3 Claros with Jimmy at the top. Jimmy number 1, Chrissy number 2, Danny number 3. I mean, hey, I'm not trying to like spread libel or slander anybody's name. This is all 100% from my own experience with these people. The truth, that shit's out, shall set you free. And so anyway, this little 5'5", 155 pound fucking sexual assault artist, rapey bastard, fucking killed his mom, tried to get away. I got caught up, got a murder 1 charge, did murder 1, assault charges. I mean, a bunch, ton of charges, a lot of good, But I also got his fucking public defender, filed a motion for a speedy trial. I want to make sure to just get this shit over with, man. And this motherfucker's about to go to jail for the rest of his life, I hope. And if he does not, because he's gotten out of a manslaughter case on a technicality before. May the rest of his days be long, full of whether he's inside or outside of a prison. A motherfucker's gonna have to live with that shit his whole life. He's a motherfucker that fucking killed his own mom. I couldn't live with that way, It's insane. It's fucking absolutely insane. And there was a part of me, I was like, man, maybe I should go to these court dates, for Sue. I don't know who's going to be there to, like, honor her. And I used to get high over their house. Like, I watched the chaos firsthand. Back then, Chrissy's 2-year-old daughter was there. With her other daughter lived with her dad, Mr. Claro. Her baby dad lived there. He was also on dope. We were all on dope, but I didn't live there. And I'd go over there. We'd all be getting high, and it's like, I know I'm here, but I ain't like y'all. Like, I just knew it. And I don't say that, because I know that had I continued down the path that I was on, that's who I would have become. There was still light in my eyes. And I just think about who's gonna be there for Sue. And maybe she has family, but she's 72. I don't know anything about her extended family, but I just always felt so bad for her. The way her kids fucking treated her. I mean, it just was shitty, man. So I went and looked at the case search. Guess when this motherfucker's next hearing is? On my birthday. Like, what even is that? On my birthday. This fool's hearing is. I feel like I gotta go. I already was feeling compelled, and then it's on my birthday, and I just think there's meaning to some of this shit. Danny died of an overdose. I didn't go to his funeral. I felt bad, but I knew who was going to be there. I knew what they were going to be doing. And apparently I was very correct. And I needed no parts of that. It's unnecessary for me to go to something like that. But anyway, it's on my birthday in a few weeks. I guess I'm going to go. I'll keep you guys posted. Keep in mind, this dude also, allegedly, this is alleged, I don't have firsthand knowledge, but it has been the consensus for a long time. They weren't even allowed, Jimmy and Danny weren't even allowed at the funeral because of this, but when my friend Bali, the Wally, died, he overdosed at Jimmy and fucking Danny's house. They ran this fool's pockets, got him around the corner to the park, threw him in the bushes, and left him there for the little park ranger to find the next morning. Fuck these dudes. Bali considered them a friend. Actually, Bali overdosed around me twice. In 2 days. I called 911 the second I saw that he was fucking turning blue. I was terrified. That was my best friend. I was furious because, I fucking go outside to the ambulance to flag him down, like, get the fuck in here. And I walk back in, and this fool is standing up. Fucking starting to regain some color in his face. When I ran outside, he was pale, blue. His lips were purple. I was terrified my best friend was going to die in my mom's house. My mom wasn't even home. She's like at work. My best friend. And then the next day, he fucking overdosed again in the parking lot of a Pizza Hut while I was getting pizza off the same dope from the day before. And, yeah. It's like, Bully considered these people his friend. And they just fucking dogged him. And I get, I've chalked it up to like junkie bullshit for a long time. But, at a certain point, it's just because it's who you are. A snake is a snake by nature. At 40 years old, I don't really give people a pass like that. And it's tough. I have a good friend still caught in the grips. We used to get high together too. That fool is still doing fucking fentanyl. What even is that? And I really don't want to sound like I feel like I'm better than anybody else. It's just like it makes me sick. Like, yo, I just am like, so I know how I just see how thin of a web it is that we weave, and I'm fucking terrified of going back. Even just talking about it, I get sick to my stomach. Thinking about it. People are out there dying every day. The number one cause of death for fucking males 18 to 45 is overdose. That's fucking horrible, you know? It's why I feel compelled to get into the recovery industry. It's important. If not me, then who? Look, let's get to it. Let's get to some shit, man. You know, because it's crazy world out there. Crazy world. CBS News got this shit. Former Oklahoma State, Utah State basketball player could face the death penalty in Indonesia drug case. Jared Shaw, a former top 100 recruit, was arrested last week in Indonesia for allegedly attempting to smuggle illegal drugs. I don't know if you saw this. Yeah, pretty crazy to think about getting the death penalty for little cannabis candy. Former Oklahoma State, Utah State basketball player Jared Shaw was arrested in Indonesia for allegedly attempting to smuggle illegal drugs into the country, according to the Associated Press. Shaw could face the death penalty if convicted, as the Southeast Asian nation enforces strict drug laws, with some convicted smugglers executed by firing squad, according to the report. Dude, to get fucking executed by firing squad for some personal weed candy. Come on, he's a basketball player, so you already know he's bringing money into your economy. He's helping y'all out. You know, his services are good for y'all. Mark, you got American basketball players in your Indonesia team. He's being respectful of your culture by not having them ship straight packs from Thailand. You know, he's just getting some edibles. Nobody's got to smell it. Nobody's got to even know. Nobody has to know. Nobody's got to know. They don't have to know. Makes me sick thinking about this shit, too. Shaw 34 has played for several teams in the Indonesian League since 22, most recently the Tangerang Hawks. Before his arrest on May 7th, police raided his apartment and found 132 pieces of cannabis candies. Donald Spirang, police chief at Sokimohado Airport, I botched that, told the Associated Press that Shaw's arrest followed a tip from a customs officials who flagged a suspicious package he allegedly received from Thailand. Sipayung and Shaw said Shaw could face up to life sentence or death penalty if found guilty. While Thailand decriminalized cannabis in November of 24, Indonesia continues to enforce harsh drug laws. Shaw was fired from the Tangerang Hawks, an Indonesian basketball league chair, banned him for life. According to the report, Shaw, rated as a four-star prospect coming out of Dallas, Carter in the 2009 class. The industry-generated 24/7 Sports Composite rated the number 99 overall recruit and number 11 center in the cycle. Shaw signed with the Oklahoma State, where he spent 2 seasons. He played a total of 44 games as a limited contributor. That's why he's in Indonesia. Transferred to Utah, blase blah, don't care. Shaw was suspended indefinitely in December of 2013 while at Utah State for a violation of team rules. He was charged with a felony distribution of a controlled substance. He was slanging that bags, as well as a misdemeanor counts of possessions of drug paraphernalia and contributing to the delinquency of a minor when Logan police responded to a call at a home near campus. Interesting. Delinquency of a minor, you sick bastard. Shaw was sentenced 10 days in the Cachet County Jail, placed on 36 months probation, allowed to serve jail time, blah, blah, blah. Shaw went undrafted in 2014, professional career in Turkey during 2014-15, in the G League, Santa Cruz, blah, blah, blah. Played professionally in Africa, Argentina, Dominican Republic, Japan, Lebanon, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, Uruguay, and Venezuela. Wow, that dude has played all... Yo, fuck joining the Navy to fucking see the world. You could just be a basketball player. Super reasonable expectation for most average people. That looks to be about it on old Jamal. There are some ads for, I guess, testosterone. This dude definitely looks like he switched. This is clearly an AI picture. I'm fucking dying. I wish you could see it, but you cannot because I'm recording on my phone. This is a lean, mean, entrepreneurial machine when it comes to who does the episodes. It's me. I'm the editor in chief. I'm the sensual, sexual, strong, dominant male leader, forward facing. Anyway, let me get out of that. I got a couple of other articles. Could do a feel good and get crazy again. I think I'm gonna get a little. Oh, that's right. I am gonna get a little crazy. This shit has been freaking me out. If I'm gonna be honest, I'm hearing other shit now, even that's pretty fucking crazy. So check this out. The U.S. military is making lasers that create voices out of thin air. And this came out in 2018. 2018, this is when this came out. Oh, perfect. It's on some website. I'm not looking at it right now. Within 3 years, the Pentagon's non-lethal weapons lab hopes to have a direct energy weapon that can produce an effect like a haunted walkie-talkie or the biblical burning bush. What a shift in polarity there. Just like a haunted walkie-talkie, or, the fucking burning bush that spoke to Moses with the voice of fucking God. It's not. That's definitely two ends of the spectrum. But that was in 2018. Within 3 years, they're saying hoped. But let's be honest. When they're telling you in an article in some mainstream publication that they hope within 3 years to have it operational, it's been operational for the last 50 years. Okay. How good was it? Was it still a beta thing? It was a thing. And if there's a video you can watch if you look this article up, and it actually tells you to do so. Watch the video above and listen carefully for what sounds like a human voice during the second spin. That's not an audio recording or a broadcast transmitted over radio. It's not human at all. It's an auditory effect that's created by military scientists who manipulated the air with lasers. And it's the Pentagon's most interesting idea for stopping people charging checkpoints or just scaring the crap out of them. We'll use it to disperse a giant protesting crowd. Or, if we just start bored at the old office, just trying to get our rocks off, we'll go with the burning bush one. The weapon is composed of two parts. First, a femtosecond laser. A femtosecond laser. I don't know what that is. There is a link. I'm not going to click it. Which shoots a burst of focused light for 10 to 15 seconds, just long enough to rip the electrons from the air molecules and create a small ball of plasma, sometimes called the fourth state of matter. Plasma is a field of electrified gas highly responsive to electromagnetic effects. The scientists then hit that plasma field with a second nanolaser, turning it into an extremely narrow range of wavelengths. They use that to manipulate the plasma field in a way that can produce light and noise. Get the interaction precise enough, and you can get something that sounds like a haunted walkie-talkie. Back to the article. The video is unavailable. Interesting. Yeah, I think you could deduce from that. YouTube took it down. Why? The weapon's most interesting aspect may be the way it creates noise at a specific and distant point in space rather than blasting out of a nearby speaker. That means that soldiers between the weapons and targets are unaffected. How far away can that point be? Range is a function of the optics. The bigger the mirrors, the farther the range, Law said. A 5-inch mirror creates an effect about 1 kilometer away. An 8-inch mirror about 5 kilometers. He said they've created plasmas at 20 to 30 kilometers. He said this is the first non-lethal weapon that could go out tens of kilometers. The Kerr effect, a term that refers to minute changes in the refractive index as a result of electromagnetic field changes, makes it actually easier to create the effect at a distance. One of the things about the ultra-short pulse, it wants to form a longer range. It's harder to form at shorter ranges, said Law. Dude, this shit is insane. Okay? We are talking about direct energy weapons, which they've been using over in Europe, I think it was, or, Greece, somewhere. And they definitely dispersed the shit out of that crowd awfully quickly. Some might say it was lasers. Some might argue that. Who that some is? Maybe it's this some bitch. Okay, let me see. Let me get rid of this. Should we go a little bit more fucked up? I don't want, dude. This is another one of those ones that they're saying they want to do it, but are not doing it. Little bit nuts, if you ask me. Scientists want to grow spare human bodies. That's right. Scientists want to grow spare human bodies. They swear. They swear, dude, we swear. It won't involve consciousness. According to 3 Stanford scientists, which, if you don't know, Stanford is CIA MK Ultra Central, and has been forever, you know? So I don't buy that human ain't ball. A steadily growing idea, one known as bodyoids, biological structures created from human stem cells that don't have consciousness or feel pain. While access to such a technology could supercharge medical research, the authors readily note that the idea is also awash with ethical considerations. You think? Do you think? Today, medical research experiences a macabre crisis of supply and demand. Organ donors and scientists alike need more human bodies than are available. And you know how you stop that? You fucking unfat yourself. And you get your family members to unfat themselves. First, you set the example. Show them what needs to be done. You know, I try to take to the extreme just to be extreme. Okay, let me a little more brightness. 3 scientists from Stanford University argue that there could be potential workaround for what they describe as a major bottleneck to progress. That's an interesting way to put it. One that crucially doesn't involve the further exploitation of living, sentient species. However, the idea may be difficult to swallow. The need for organs and other human biological materials is dire. As scientists note, 100,000 people in the U.S. alone are waiting for a viable life-saving organ transplant. The trials of experimental drugs can risk harm to patients while slowing down their development. So the authors argue for the creation of spare bodies, or bodyoids, grown from pluripotent stem cells, a process made possible by recent technological advancements. The bodyoids would be cultured using genetic techniques that inhibit brain development, and as a result, these organ creations would lack consciousness or the ability to feel pain. Dude, this shit is nuts. This shit is nuts. No wonder they want all these abortions, man. They need the stem cells so they can make their bodyoids. If you're feeling some ick about the idea of creating what essentially lumps of human organs and cells, there's lumps. You're not alone. The author knows how it sounds. Many will find the concept grotesque or appalling, and for good reason. The authors wrote for MIT Technological Review, but they argue that the idea comes with immense medical benefits. We know much can be gained from studying the human body. Yeah, but these aren't the human body, they're bodyoids. Okay? You already said it. They're bodyoids. Scientists have mimicked what looks like the early stages of human embryo development using stem cells, and as the author notes, creating an artificial uterus has similarly progressed over the years. Of course, with an idea that sounds like a sci-fi movie or a sci-fi horror to some, many questions remain, particularly if the bodyoids can survive without a functioning brain or if stem cells can give rise to such structures. They ain't got the breath of God in them. However, the idea isn't as far-fetched as it might seem. For years, scientists have conducted research on animated or living cadavers, brain-dead bodies kept alive via medical intervention. Of course, this research is done with family consent, but that doesn't mean it has ethically contentious. Could bodyoids make the ethical considerations of humans who lack a perceived consciousness even more fraught? Bro, you'd be working at the fucking bodyoid factory, chopping them up and getting them prepped for the robot arms. You know, they'll just throw a Neuralink in there. create a brain, really just use it as a operating system, as, basically parasiting as a host, like parasiting the host. For now, bodyoids remain a fantastical idea, but the authors argue that it's time that governments, institutions, and humanity at large begin to grapple with the scientific and ethical considerations of these potential biological creations. As we proceed, the ethical and social issues are at least as important as the scientific ones, the authors wrote, even if it looks possible. Determining whether we should make bodyoids non-human or human will require considerable thought, discussion, and debate. That one was in Popular Mechanics. That is. Anyway, go listen to some other episodes. I'm done for the night. Bongtimore.